There's a lot more to the SNES library than just Mario, Samus, and Link, and more than 2 decades later, many of these games are still criminally underappreciated. These are 5 of the most underrated games on the SNES. Ogre Battle is possibly the greatest unfinished saga in gaming. The very first game in the series appeared on the SNES and began with a tarot reading that determined your fitness for leading a revolution against an evil empire. And what a revolution it is, as you spend dozens of hours recruiting and building an army of soldiers, witches, and even griffins in a strategy game that still feels incredibly deep more than 20 years later. Boogerman is one of those characters that is maybe better left in the 90s, but he actually starred in a pretty cool game. It had some of the better graphics and music of any platformer from the era, and while the ability to burp and fart on your enemies is incredibly sophomoric, it still entertains an adult almost as much as a 10-year-old. The Legend of the Mystical Ninja was the very first game in the series released in North America, and it's an almost pitch-perfect beat-em-up with strong RPG elements. Much of the series' trademark humor translated fairly well in this version, and it has a wonderful soundtrack inspired by traditional Japanese music. Sadly, Konami seems to have completely lost interest in the series in recent years. The Jurassic Park movies have inspired some surprisingly good games over the years, beginning with the very first title released on the SNES to coincide with the original movie. Yes, you play as Dr. Alan Grant, and you fight dinosaurs with a bunch of weapons from a top-down perspective, which wasn't terribly innovative for the time. But this is actually a much more thoughtful adaptation of the film than you would first expect. You can communicate via radio with other characters from the film, and some will purposely try to impede your progress with bad advice. And when you head indoors, the game shifts to a first-person view as you collect ID cards. This is so much better than the typical movie cash-in that flooded the SNES library in the mid-90s. There was no shortage of traditional sword and sorcery RPGs on the SNES, so Shadowrun stands out specifically for its dark cyberpunk setting. While receiving mixed reviews upon release, Shadowrun's image has been rehabilitated in recent years, with many players praising its deep conversation system and gameplay that mixes traditional tabletop rules with 16-bit RPG action. Plus, the game's film noir influences help give it what's quite possibly the best storyline of any SNES game. What SNES games do you think are underappreciated? Head on over to our website for an extended list, and maybe you'll find your game. Thanks for watching.